every year, professional services firm Deloitte releases its Tech Trends report, highlighting the top aspects of technology that could have a potential impact on business over the next 12 to 24 months. The company released their fifth report last week with some interesting insights. And joining me in studio to expand on these is Kamal Ramsingh, a leader of technology business at Deloitte South Africa. Kamal, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, whether we look at South Africa or across international borders, the role of IT has changed, and it's not the two little IT geeks in the background in the back office anymore. It's fully entrenched. Businesses are fully entrenched in the digital age. With that in mind, what does a report like this mean for technology and business, specifically for the CIO?
Look, it means several things. I think whenever we produce the Tech Trends reports, it's about giving the CIO more tools. To become more efficient, more responsive, and actually to equip the CIO sometimes with new languages to interact with business. So we're hoping it constantly closes the gap between business and IT. The geeks are still there, by the way.
They're just now running the business instead of the back office.
Absolutely.
Now, the report is categorized into two main categories. That's enablers and disruptors. What is the fundamental difference between the two?
Disruptors are trends or technologies that we think are going to have a positive disruption either to the business of IT or the business directly. Now these are typically trends or technologies that the CIO hasn't looked at. Enablers, on the other hand, are areas that the CIO may have already been investing in, but are now going to start seeing the value of that investment.
Let's talk about some of the new technologies, the disruptors. Now, something I found fascinating is the aspect of cognitive analytics. Now, this is something that's been highlighted in Hollywood movies. I mean, Tron, artificial intelligence, The Matrix, even Terminator focused on that. And it seems it's moving from fiction to reality now. What does it mean for business at the moment?
Look, at the moment, cognitive analytics is something that we're predicting will start really getting visible in a few years. IBM has something great called Watson, it's a machine learning type of concept, and I just read an article today about it being used quite extensively in Kenya, so maybe it's not that far away. But what it means for business is we're moving from the concept of analytics and business insight, business intelligence, where we're going to be using machine power more effectively to help us through this, whether it's to develop hypotheses or sift through masses of data. So not just relying on people's interpretations, but tapping into the power of the machinery we're building.
Perhaps taking that emotive aspect out of that.
We'll try. We will try.
Now, another disruptor that's quite interesting is the concept of wearables. Now, we've barely brought in the mobile phone with bring your own device. Now we're already looking at Google Glasses, the new apps and watches by the likes of Samsung and Apple. What does this mean for a business going forward?
This is a good one. This is a very good one, because at this point in time, you're quite right, the wearables market is very, very consumer focused, the Nike Fuel Band and Samsung, etc. But what we see here is that wearables have an opportunity to go where it's difficult to take mobile products, whether they're iPhones or iPads or tablets or any of that type of thing. Huge application for enterprise once we crack that killer app challenge, which we do need to invest in. So it's not something immediate, but certainly the potential is quite awesome.
All right, let's look at some of the technology that CIOs probably have invested in. And from the enablers camp, you listed social activation. These days, how much should business pay cognizance to what the consumer or what their audience is saying?
A lot more than we are right now. I think historically we've done things like build a digital presence, social media presence.
That's not enough anymore.
It's nowhere near enough. We've done some listening, so we've got some sentiment going on, but we've not really used it to create opinions. And we live in this recommendation economy. If anybody has teenagers, you know they'd rather go on Twitter to get recommendations than listen to mom and dad, right?
Absolutely.
So this is where we're at. We're at a recommendation economy where what businesses now need to do is engage with these platforms to frame opinions and perceptions of their brand. Not just listen, but actively get involved and engage.
Now, I've skimmed over 3 of the top 10 trends. What trend are you most excited about?
I love wearables. I think there's something in here which, whilst we're predicting and still waiting for standards and protocols and so forth, the impact that wearables can have on the mining sector, on heavy industry, it could be quite phenomenal. It could be used for prevention of crises in mines, in accidents. There's a lot that can be done. Lots of work still to go into finding those applications. But if I had to put some money on it, I'd say wearables is a way to aggressively experiment with as soon as possible.
And from a business perspective, which trend is most likely to be implemented in the near future in most businesses in South Africa?
Look, I think the concept of the CIO framing their world as a venture capitalist, we've picked this, and this is something that CIOs need to build a new language, a new vocabulary around, and particularly in South Africa, we have a lot of very technical roles associated with the CIO. But as soon as they start looking at their world as a portfolio of risk-based, return-based investments, the sooner the gap between business and IT closes, and we will see a lot of these technologies then coming to fruition.
And will there be a top-down, bottom-up approach from the business as well, involving the CIO more in the business decision-making and where the budget goes?
Let's hope so. I think largely that's been a challenge for many years. And the sooner the CIO changes the terminology, let's not talk about infrastructure and applications, let's talk about business value and return, the sooner that inclusion is going to happen.
Kamal, thank you very much.
My pleasure.